Fish Fillets 2 is a game so diabolically difficult, I wouldn't even wish the knowledge of its existence on my greatest enemy. But oh, does this game exist? And unfortunately, you now know about it. If it weren't for Ryan Warrior, I wouldn't know it existed either. But now that I do, you also have to. Sorry. At a first glance, it looks like the kind of fun and fishy puzzle game I might have played as a kid. But once I caught a glimpse of its cover art, this picture of two of the game's oddly sexy protagonists, and this very real trailer from 2007.
Hi, I'm Virgil. I get to teach you how crabs move.
I knew this was a game I was gonna have to dive deep into. I paid 67 cents for it, and that was still way too much. Now, let me introduce you to Fish Fillets 2. Since this game is technically a sequel, I figured I'd give you all a quick history lesson before we really get into it. The original Fish Fillets game was released in 1998 in the Czech Republic by Alter Games, and in 2002 it was re-released under an open source license. Then in 2004, fans used it to create a new version called Fish Fillets NG, or Next Generation, ported it to a couple new operating systems, and translated it into some different languages. The story of that first one goes something like, once upon a time there were two fish. They worked for a fish-titution so secret that even they didn't know its name. It investigated UFOs and carried out diver, deeply interesting and very expensive research. One day, one particularly nasty UFO invaded the underwater realm, wreaking havoc as it zigzagged along the ocean floor. It struck the little house of the two fish and destroyed it beyond recognition. So now you get the general gist. Then, in 2007, we traveled into the third dimension with Fish Fillets 2, and well, that's where our tale really takes off. Shall we begin? Pacific Ocean, Mariana Trench, really, really deep underwater. Agents Tina Flounder and Max Guppy are searching for a very specific mine with a fin scanner, which then briefs them on their next top secret mission to locate King Crab's missing younger brother, Virgil Crab. The most likely culprit? Serial killer Jack the Fisher. The first leg of our journey will have us gather some more intel from Mr. Crab, located in the Great Barrier Reef. And then they spot it. The tutorial mission.
Is that it?
I think that's it.
Oh, brother.
Let's get to work.
Fish Fillets 2 starts off as a simple object-pushing puzzle game, where your goal in each level is to simply leave it. Usually easier said than done, but I was able to solve this first one flawlessly. Then we meet...
This is my partner, Agent Max Flounder.
Don't call me Max.
He's sensitive about his weight.
Here we learn that we can also lift objects by swimming up underneath them and switching between the fish to get the job done. Now these fish really do like to over-explain everything, but honestly sometimes having them reiterate this stuff is helpful.
I can't move steel pipes, they're too heavy for me. Flounder, can you come move this pipe for me?
Well, my weight has to be good for something.
The constant bickering, not so much, but it is entertaining.
This looks promising. After that last room, I could use a drink.
Be careful. I told you I suspected a trap.
You said be careful. You should have said, watch out for falling objects. I told you in the last room, I can't support steel pipes.
I think maybe the player is trying to kill us.
Nonsense. The player just wanted to practice using the undo key. Anyway, I think this is the last room.
This last room really does a great job showcasing what the rest of the game is really about. Slowly moving the fish around so you can push an object inch by inch across their backs in order to put it somewhere.
I'm glad we're finally out of the fish wagon. It smelled funny in there.
The bubble streams show that the last mission unlocked the next two chapters. You can play them in any order. Click on any of the flashing pearls to play the next mission. We've got the Stingray or King Crab's office. As I was about to learn, neither path would lead me to victory, but so help me if I wasn't gonna at least give them a shot.
Flounder, we're getting a transmission from headquarters.
Hello, Fish.
Our first mission update, Jack the Fisher has been located by our fellow agents.
I warn you, the following picture is quite gruesome.
If this game weren't already hard enough, some of these levels have starfish. Hold on, I'll let Tina explain it to you.
That is a starfish. Our primary goal is to get out of this room. We can do that without worrying about the starfish. But for an extra challenge, we can try to get the starfish before we leave.
Based on my skill level, optional challenges like these didn't really seem like they'd be part of my future, so I tried to keep my eye on the prize. The big old stingray here is blocking the path for our big-boned friend Max, so the obvious solution is to bring this pickaxe all the way up here and use that to push it out of the way. And then I gave up on the next one. I knew I had to somehow push an object up and over this giant torpedo to fill the gap so that I could slide it out of the way, but yeah, no. So I went to the other path instead and found this mission to be a little bit easier. Here we're introduced to lifting objects up and out of the water to move them around. Fun. And then Fish Fillets 2 pulls its first extremely rude move on me. My stupid fish could exit on the left this whole time. This submarine level was fine, still took me longer than I'd like to admit, but whatever. And then the boot. The boot. You gotta bring this boot all the way over here next to this net and then push both of them back so that you can then push the pipe on top of it and do your whole stupid little thing. This is awful, but not as awful as Jack the Fisher in the flesh. I played around here for a while. I knew I had to push something through probably both of these holes, and turns out I was right, but the solution required so much more finicky object balancing than I even thought possible. I'm gonna play the solution here as I talk, sped up of course, because it took this person who already memorized it over 2 real-life minutes to set this whole thing up. And compared to the later levels, this really isn't even that bad. This one, 5.5 minutes. This one, 14.5 minutes. This game is a nightmare. By the way, shout out to Blue Camel for uploading every single level solution, including the bonus stars. And by the way, this is how many levels there are in total. Don't get me wrong, Fish Fillets is really cool, and I'm glad it exists for all the puzzle sickos out there. This game is so extremely punishing, even though it has an undo button. You can go through a level, set everything up for what is obviously the solution, right? And then forget one tiny little thing, which basically means you have to end up restarting anyways. I simply don't understand how someone even came up with this stuff. Since this thing's got 97% positive reviews on Steam, I did feel pretty confident in purchasing it for that whopping 67 cents without reading the reviews, and I can see why people like it despite my skill issues. Let's look at some of these reviews after the fact. Shockingly difficult game. Diabolically difficult puzzler. What kind of person created these levels? This game is hard. Holy cannoli. Dozens hours of gameplay for whole family. Yeah, for a family of masochists. People used to be so much smarter in 2007. Wow. I think the only thing more disappointing than realizing I was in way over my head here was finding out that the Fish Fillet t-shirts link was busted. You know, I never did figure out why it's called Fish Fillets. On second thought, maybe I don't want to know.